Once hailed as a messiah of microcredit and a savior of the poor, Muhammad Yunus is now being seen in a new, controversial light. From Nobel Peace Prize winner to interim head of Bangladesh's government, Yunus's transformation has stunned both his supporters and critics. But what's even more surprising is who is cheering him on: China and Pakistan. So, what's really going on? Why is Yunus delaying elections? And why are two of India's biggest rivals rooting for him? Let's break it down. In August 2024, Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina was forced to exit in a dramatic fashion. In the political vacuum that followed, Muhammad Yunus was appointed as the chief advisor to Bangladesh's interim government. Now, though technically just an interim leader, Yunus wields powers nearly equal to that of a prime minister. His job under the constitution? To conduct free and fair parliamentary elections and restore democratic rule. But Yunus seems in no rush. He has hinted that elections might not happen until 2026. Meanwhile, he has been busy strengthening ties with China and Pakistan. That's raised eyebrows in India and across the democratic world. For China, Yunus is a perfect fit. Bangladesh is a key piece in China's South Asian puzzle. It sits along the Bay of Bengal, making it crucial for Beijing's Belt and Road Initiative (BRI). China has already poured billions into Bangladeshi ports, railways, and power plants, but a new democratic government might review or even roll back those deals. Yunus, heading a technocratic and unelected administration, offers Beijing something better: predictability. He has no political base to please, no voters to answer to, and most importantly for China, no desire to upset ongoing BRI projects. His delay of elections gives China a window to lock in its influence without interference from a potentially nationalist or India friendly government. Yunus has even borrowed China's language. He says the country needs national consensus and electoral reforms before elections can happen. These vague phrases echo China's own playbook of authoritarian governance disguised as reform. For Pakistan, it's less about infrastructure and more about ideology and leverage. Under Hasina, Bangladesh worked closely with India. There was cooperation on counterterrorism, curbs on Islamist groups, and efforts to block Pakistan's spy agency, the ISI, from meddling in Dhaka. With Hasina gone, Islamabad sees an opening. Intelligence sources suggest the ISI even helped engineer her exit by working with Islamist elements and possibly even sections of the US deep state. Now, with Yunus in charge, Pakistan hopes to draw Bangladesh away from India's orbit, especially on sensitive issues like Kashmir and the 1971 Liberation War. Yunus's rhetoric appears to play along. On December 16, Vijay Diwas, he ignored India's role in Bangladesh's independence, slammed Hasina, and stayed silent on Sheikh Mujibur Rahman's legacy. It's a move critics say aligns closely with Pakistan's revisionist history. And in the backdrop of Operation Sindoor, India's military response to the April 22nd terror attack in Pahalgam, Pakistan's renewed interest in Bangladesh poses a fresh dilemma for Indian security. One of the most worrying signs is the political comeback of Jamaat-e-Islami, an Islamist party banned under Hasina's rule. The Yunus administration lifted the ban and has allowed them back into the political arena. That's not all. Extremist groups like Hizb ut-Tahrir are resurfacing, and even clerics linked to Al-Qaeda inspired outfits are back in action. Security experts say this shows either a dangerous tolerance or quiet encouragement of radical elements by the interim government. The judiciary too appears to be leaning toward Islamist narratives, cracking down on minority voices while giving room to extremist figures. JEI student wing Islamic Chhatra Shibir played a role in the protests that brought down Hasina. Now they're reportedly involved in attacks on minorities. Many observers fear this is less about democracy and more about building an Islamic theocracy. The Bangladesh National Party, BNP, once hopeful of a return to power, now feels increasingly sidelined. Senior BNP leader Mirza Fakhrul Islam Alamgir warned this week of a deliberate plan to delay elections and undermine democracy. The optimism following Hasina's fall is quickly turning into disillusionment. Meanwhile, cracks are showing in the interim government. Army Chief General Waqar Uzzaman reportedly wants elections held soon, but Yunus is pushing back. According to media reports, Yunus is aligning with factions that oppose the army chief, many of whom have strong foreign connections. India now faces a difficult choice. With Hasina gone and Yunus cozying up to India's adversaries, New Delhi is holding off on endorsing this interim setup. It's calling for early elections and a return to democratic governance. But time is running out. If Bangladesh drifts further into authoritarianism, with Pakistan backed Islamists gaining ground and China entrenching its infrastructure projects, India may soon find itself surrounded by a hostile power axis right on its eastern border. And the stakes are not just strategic, they are ideological. Beijing and Islamabad both benefit when democracies weaken. For them, a permanently delayed election in Bangladesh is a big win. Muhammad Yunus once stood for hope, peace, and progress, but today he stands accused of enabling authoritarianism, delaying democracy, and empowering foreign interests. Bangladesh's political future is now a geopolitical chessboard where China and Pakistan are making moves, and India is watching carefully. Will the elections happen in 2026 or ever? Will Yunus be remembered as a reformer or as a ruler who overstayed his welcome? Only time and pressure from within and outside Bangladesh will tell.